3:15 in the morning. You shrink into your collar, aimlessly walking along the edge of an old residential area, on a dead-end street with no security cameras. You're 21 years old. No degree, no trade skills. In your pocket, you have only 2 crumpled $5 bills left. You set your sights on a Wuling Hongguang parked in the shadow of a street lamp. You walk over, pretending to tie your shoelaces as you crouch beside the car. Your eyes scan your surroundings intensely. Once you confirm no one is around, you stand up. Your right hand rests on the rusted door handle. You give it a gentle pull. Click. No alarm blares like in the movies. Door pops open, revealing a crack. Your heart beats like a battered drum being struck hard, slamming frantically against your ribs. You slide into the cabin. The musty smell of plastic and leather hits you in the face. You have no tools, so you can only dig frantically in the dark with your fingers. Center console storage bin. The glove box, the visor flap. In the ashtray, you feel cold coins. $23.50 in total. In the glove box, there's a pack of double happiness cigarettes with 3 missing. And a plastic lighter. You stuff these into your pockets, pull the car door shut, and scramble away. That night, with that money, at an all-night internet cafe, you buy a large bowl of beef-flavored instant noodles and a bottle of iced tea. For the first time, you realize that in this city, the first bit of money you earned to fill your stomach was actually just a gentle pull away. Level 2. A thrilling escape. 3 months later, you stop touching those beat-up old minivans that can't even afford gas. You started hanging around the bar street at midnight, the parking lots outside street food stalls and high-end foot massage parlors. You figured out a kind of probability theory for low-level thieves. Cars parked crookedly, bumping up against the curb, with side mirrors that didn't fold in automatically. There's a high chance the owner is dead drunk, or was in such a rush to get out and vomit, that they forgot to lock the door. You've gotten smarter, carrying a plastic bag in your hand, posing as a homeless person collecting recyclables. You pulled open the door of a Volkswagen Magotan, and grabbed a genuine leather briefcase from the backseat. Just as you were about to make your getaway, a sudden roar echoed from the distance. "Hey, what are you doing?" A patrol security guard spotted you. The blinding, icy white beam of his flashlight instantly locked onto your face. Your scalp went numb. Clutching the briefcase, you took off running, sprinting wildly through the dead of night. You hid behind a stinking trash sorting shed, listening to the guard's footsteps and the static on his walkie-talkie. As they slowly faded away, at night, you counted out exactly $3,000 in cash from the briefcase, along with 2 unopened bottles of Motai. This sudden influx of wealth didn't get you into a high-end apartment. You still lived in a cramped $400 a month room, in an urban village with moldy, peeling walls. Because very soon, you hit the first major bottleneck in your thieving career. Fencing the goods. Cash is always the safest bet. But in those cars, there are mostly phones, tablets, and expensive alcohol and tobacco. You took the iPhone 14 Pro Max. You swiped from a BMW 5 Series, and found your way to the corner of the urban village. Home, a shady, unlicensed repair shop with a sign advertising high-price mobile phone buybacks. The owner is a lean, wiry man, a middle-aged guy with a piece of betel nut stuck in his mouth. He picks up the phone with his fingertips. He doesn't ask where it came from. He just gives you a cold, flat offer. 800, take it or leave it. That phone retails for nearly $10,000 officially. But you don't have any bargaining chips at all. In this underground food chain, you're shouldering 100% of the criminal risk of getting caught. Yet, these middlemen, sitting there in the shop with the air conditioning on, walk away with 90% of the profit. You take those $800. That same night, you head to a foot massage parlor for a $198 quick service. Foot soak. Then you go to a barbecue stand. You order $100 worth of kidneys and some ice-cold beer. You sit on a plastic stool, looking up at the night sky sliced apart by power lines above the urban village. For the first time, toward this business model where you sweat blood and take huge risks, but only get to eat the scraps. You feel an intense sense of resentment. You start to restructure your survival code. You stop wandering in the middle of the night alone, pulling car handles like a lone ghost. You start hanging around pool halls and shady internet cafes in the urban village, looking for those kids with their colorful dyed hair, kids who dropped out of school early, and whose pockets are even emptier than yours. They lack experience, But they've got guts and they listen to orders. You take on 2 underlings. They call you Brother Long. You carve out territories for them. And you pass down all the profiling tricks you've picked up yourself. You set them up with second-hand electric scooters. And send them out in the dead of night. To scout out low-security housing complexes. Or even hospital parking lots after dark. The cigarettes, alcohol, loose change, and electronics they steal from unlocked cars. Everything must be handed over to you. You'll be the one to deal with the repair shop owner. Or you'll cash it out through anonymous accounts on second-hand trading platforms. You lit up a premium cigarette. You rented a used Golf GTI for $300 a day. When you're at the barbecue stall, slamming stacks of $100 bills onto the table, watching the awe and fanaticism flash in your henchman's eyes, you fall into an illusory delusion. You start to feel that you're no longer just a small-time thug struggling in the mud. You feel like you're becoming a successful player in this city's underground order. You start to get used to this life, where you can make money without breaking a sweat. But you forget one thing. The higher the leverage in the system, the more desperate the backlash will be when it finally hits. As car owners become more security conscious, fewer and fewer people forget to lock their doors. Your business volume starts to drop off a cliff. To cover the gang's expenses and feed your own growing vanity, you go through a channel to buy a palm-sized black device with a rough finish, a car signal jammer. This changes the rules of the game. You and your crew lurk in the underground garages of large commercial complexes. When those middle-class folks in their Mercedes and Range Rovers press their key fobs and head toward the elevator lobby without looking back, all you have to do is reach into your pocket and gently flick the switch on the jammer. The radio waves instantly paralyze the locking signal. Once the owner disappears around the corner, your henchmen stroll right up and open the door as if it were their own front gate. During one particular job targeting a Toyota Alphard minivan, you find in the trunk a cardboard box wrapped in a black plastic bag. Inside are 10 neat stacks of cash bundled with rubber bands. A full $100,000. That was the emergency fund for a new company. Looking at all that red cash spread out across your rental's bedsheets, your eyes turned bloodshot. The technological advantage you gained completely stripped away your fear of the law. You thought you'd found the secret to getting rich quick. But that money is already enough to land you in a cold prison cell for many years. That 100,000 yuan didn't make you a truly wealthy person. Instead, it became the catalyst that accelerated your downfall. You and your crew moved out of the urban village, renting out a long-term suite at a 4-star hotel. You leased a bright yellow Porsche 718, and spent every night lingering in the city's most expensive KTVs, ordering bottles of Ace of Spades, the kind you wouldn't have dared to look at before. You got lost in the fake FL. Amidst all that hollow flattery, you actually started to think you'd moved up in the world. But here's the thing. That retaliatory, reckless spending spree was a bottomless pit. In less than 3 weeks, 100,000 in cash was completely gone. What's even scarier than going broke is losing control of the people around you, guys working under you. After seeing the madness that 100,000 brought, their appetites have been blown wide open. They're no longer satisfied with just a few $100 a day for running errands. One afternoon, while you were still passed out from a hangover, 2 of your guys, looking for a quick score, went behind your back and ditched the rule about only pulling door handles. They grabbed a glass breaker and smashed the window of a Range Rover. The piercing alarm echoed through the entire luxury neighborhood, and it immediately triggered the police's surveillance grid. You aren't the mastermind of this crew anymore. You're just the one left to clean up the mess, as vanity and the greed of your own men turn back to destroy you. The law enforcement system in modern society is no bumbling sidekick from a movie. That $100,000 cash theft case, plus the serious fallout from my guys smashing that window, had already been consolidated and under investigation by the City Criminal Investigation Unit. Caught in the all-seeing web of the Skynet, with high-definition surveillance and big data behavioral analysis, that second-hand electric scooter of yours, which kept popping up in various shopping mall parking garages, along with your rather clumsy attempt at a disguise, have already been locked onto by the police system. It was a rainy, stormy morning, and because you couldn't afford to extend your hotel stay, you moved back to the urban village. You were lying on your messy bed, the room reeking of cheap tobacco, and the rotting smell of leftover takeout containers. Suddenly, with a loud bang, The thin security door of your rental was smashed open. Few men in plainclothes. Their eyes as cold as iron. Charged in like tigers descending from the mountains. Don't move, police. Your instinct was to jump for the balcony. But the cold ground and a crushing weight instantly slammed you hard against the concrete floor. A pair of cold, heavy, metallic handcuffs. Click. Locked your wrists tight. Inside the interrogation room, there was only a harsh spotlight shining directly into your face, and the mechanical sound of the officer typing on his keyboard. Faced with walls of high-definition surveillance footage, the chat logs from the phones involved in the case, and the testimonies from your 2 lackeys, who had already spilled everything. Your entire psychological defense completely collapsed within half an hour. You were trembling as you pressed one bright red fingerprint after another onto the dozen pages of your statement. After the new year, the verdict from the detention center came down. You were sentenced in the first trial to 8 years in prison and fined 50,000 yuan. You put on the gray prison uniform with your number on it. Your hair shaved down to the scalp. You stood beneath the high iron barred window, looking out at a patch of sky, cut into a perfect square by high walls and electric fences. Occasionally, a few sparrows would fly by, leaving not a trace behind. The day your parents heard the verdict in court, they collapsed onto the bench, sobbing. And you couldn't even bring yourself to look back at their graying hair. You're 22 years old. When you walk out of these iron gates in 8 years, you will be a 30-year-old ex-convict with a record for theft. Completely out of touch with the world. Sitting on your cold, hard cot, you look at your right hand. Covered in calluses from pulling open doors all those years. And suddenly, the tears begin to fall. You finally understand, there are no shortcuts in life. You thought that by pulling those doors, you were opening a mystery box to riches. But in reality,